Dr. Norton, I'm back. Still working on Tarzan Lecture Part 1. This is quite long, so I'll try to be a bit more brief with the second part of this. I'm hoping you're enjoying these lectures, especially these one. Or I'm hoping you're enjoying this text on Tarzan. So, on page 108, we left off last time. And in London, another Lord Greystoke was speaking of his kind, or to his kind, in the House of Lords, but none trembled at the sound of his voice. Why didn't they tremble? Well, because... Sorry. Take that out for you. A little mint. Not sure you can decipher whether my breath is good or not online, so that's just going to be annoying. So, what do we have here? We have a man who's lost his authoritative voice in the world. We have a man who, because he has been tested to the limits of his strength, has gained great power of voice, power that he was made to have, or that his ancestry was made to have. So, there's a couple things. There's a couple questions for you. How does Tarzan's quest for knowledge resemble the universal human quest? In what ways is Burroughs supporting the notion that wisdom is power? And thirdly, do you hear a Darwinian influence in Burroughs' work? Well, now that I've mentioned it, you probably do now, but I'm not sure if maybe you did before as well. Especially while Tarzan is learning to read and write. These are important questions to consider. In light of Burroughs' developing theme, why is it important that Tarzan becomes leader of the apes and the dominant figure of all the jungle? With this, we can consider the description of the Black Warriors on page 85, which I think is pretty fascinating. But as Tarzan of the Apes sat one day in the cabin of his father, delving into the mysteries of a new book, the ancient security of his jungle was broken forever. At the far eastern confine, a strange cavalcade strung in single file over the brow of a low hill. In advance were 50 black warriors, armed with slender wooden spears, with ends hard-baked over slow fires, and long bows and poisoned arrows. On their backs were oval shields, in their noses hung huge rings, while from the kinky wool of their heads protruded tufts of gay feathers. Across their foreheads were tattooed 3 parallel lines of color, and on each breast 3 concentric circles. Their yellow teeth were filed to sharp points, and their great protruding lips added still further to the low and bestial brutishness of their appearance. How do you interpret the tone of the story as the warriors are introduced? There is a low view of this human race. And why, my question here, why isn't Tarzan described in the same way? Tarzan even says on page 90, he looked with wonder upon the strange creature beneath him, so like him in form and yet so different in face and color. His books had portrayed the Negro, but how different had been the dull, dead print to this sleek and hideous thing of ebony, pulsing with life. Horrifying, obviously, view of African Americans, or the African, let's just be African race here. But, like I said before, with ignorance comes fear, right? And some of this we see, perhaps even Burroughs' own ignorance. Again, we're talking about early 20th century, late 19th century, and there would be a very ignorant view of race, especially the African race. Why isn't Tarzan a savage too, or seen as a savage too? Does Tarzan's British lineage keep him above the savagery of the warrior tribe? Yes, it does, actually. He sits above the savages, literally sitting above them, but also in every other way he is above them. The diction here reveals a tone of disrespect. Page 100, again, Tarzan is aloft. He is aloft, immune to superstition on page 100. Tarzan of the Apes watched them for a while from his lofty perch in the great tree. There was much in their demeanor which he could not understand, for of superstition he was ignorant, and of fear of any kind he had but a vague conception. Ironic here that from our position we see Burroughs as being not ignorant, as Burroughs being ignorant of some of these superstitions that he doesn't even see himself in the narrative. But on 103 there's kind of further development of this low view of this tribe that eats and tortures its own prey, springs upon its meat while it is still alive. There's an interesting part here with Kulonga. It is important for Burroughs' theme and what he's developing with Tarzan that Tarzan does not eat his prey. That Tarzan does not eat Kulonga. That Tarzan does not eat Kulonga. That's on page 93 and 94. Yes. I'll let you read that and review that by yourself. Erica, am I actually in the viewfinder over here? Will you just double check that real fast? Sorry, making sure we're technically looking good.
Wait 1 second. Sorry, John. John just.
What is it showing right now? Is it my forehead only?
From your forehead down.
Okay. Can you somehow, if I'm there, is that better?
Okay.
Sorry guys, just a little technical difficulty.
You can sit up now.
Good? Okay, cool. Alright. Okay, sorry. So I guess you are missing half my hair there for a while. Alright, so I made a point here in my notes. Why is it important that Tarzan does not eat Kulonga? This places Tarzan really above the warrior tribe. It places Tarzan's jungle family of apes above the warrior tribe. This communicates some sense of ethical instinct. Is there such a thing as ethical instinct? Where might that ethical instinct come from? When Tarzan is about to eat Kulonga, what stops him? What ethical instinct is there? And why doesn't the warrior tribe have this ethical instinct? That's a question to consider. This is definitely Burroughs' viewpoint. Are ethics taught? Or are you born with ethics, or a certain ethical instinct? Are you born with the sense of right and wrong, or is that something you learn? These are questions that Burroughs is asking and really wrestling with in this part of the text. Okay, in the last part here, we're on chapter 12, page 118 in my text. I love this battle here with Turcos. On 118 it says, his arm was passed beneath Turcos's arm from behind, and his hand and forearm encircled the back of Turcos's neck. It was the half-Nelson of modern wrestling, which the untaught ape man had stumbled upon. But divine reason showed him in an instant the value of the thing he had discovered. In other words, God loves WWF. I'm joking, but it does seem in a sense that it is divine reason that has taught him this half Nelson. I think the full Nelson would be a lot better. I think that's what he actually does get to. He goes to a full Nelson. Oh yeah, it does say that. And so he struggled to encompass a similar hold with the left hand. Here we go. I forgot that. And in a few moments, Turcos's bull neck was creaking beneath a full Nelson. So the full Nelson and divine reason. He stumbles upon this thing because of his divine reason, because there is something royal flowing through his veins. Not only is he ethically superior, spiritually superior, and physically superior because of a type of blood that flows through his veins. Alright, I believe, let me just run through my notes here, I believe that gets us to the end of part 1. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you for part 2 next week.